This is the fastest growing county in the state, and my opponent refuses to show up. Well, I have here, just so it's a little bit easier for me. A lot of people have disagreements about illegal immigration, about the drug cartels that we're fighting, whether that should be a priority or not. But what about ISIS? What about terrorism? The fact that this border is unsecured. We don't even know where he stands. And he said peep about these issues. Call 911. I don't ask, our staff doesn't ask if you're a Democrat or a Republican. We just come and help. And that's what I will do as a congressman. We said that there's 27% Hispanic, Latino in Pinell County. We have 28% in uniform. We have 6 to 7% black African American. We have 8+% in uniform. Where we need to do a better job, and it's a concern all across the country, is to recruit and hire more females. When it comes to jobs in our economy, a core piece is regulation and taxation. I want a better way for our country. And a better way means to simplify the tax code.
It's important that your values are accurate and that it's equitable for everyone in the county, that people are all treated fairly. And it's important that the public learn more about the assessor's office and what their rights are.
The conservatives, Republicans look at this less government the best, and we try to govern that way. Less taxation is a good thing. We try to govern that way. So, and less regulation. So that's a philosophy I think that I try to apply to the office every day. The taxpayers expect the people they elect to hold themselves to a higher standard, including their top people like the chief deputy. If my chief deputy came into the office on Monday and said, I've been charged with a felony DUI, he or she would have immediately been fired or terminated at that point.
It did happen. I made a mistake. I'm really sorry that I made that mistake. I'm sorry for my actions. However, I need to move forward. I can't let a mistake in my life hold me back from doing what I do, what I feel is right. I'm a good public servant. I did a great job for the county. I want to do a great job again, and I cannot let something like that hold me back, and I hope that the taxpayers will take that into consideration.
We are at the lowest level of appeals in 20 years in our office, which means our staff is doing a great job and people are happy with the valuations that they're getting in the mail every March from our office.
I'd also like to reopen communication with other departments within the county, because that was a big priority when I was chief deputy, was collaborating with other departments of the county to make sure the taxpayers got the best service they could possibly get.
The reason why kids care is so important is because we really need to look out for the children of the working poor. And the fact is, this money came to us for free. We already paid for it with our federal income tax.
If you think it's free, look at what you pay the federal government and look at the debt level that the United States of America has.
What our job is in the state legislature is not to decide whether or not we pay federal taxes. The job is to bring the most benefit from those federal taxes to Arizona.
We don't have a future if we don't have our children. And if you're not healthy, you can't think. If you're not able to think, you can't make right decisions. And we've got a future in Pinell County. We've got to protect our kids. So I'm for it, straight for it. Again, I believe as a representative, we're not supposed to just go right along with the party lines. We have to do what's right for everyone. It's problem with the legislature right now is it has been along party lines. And we saw
our Republican leadership in our state legislature wants us to believe that the federal government is bad and state government is good, right? It's more local. But if it's about local control, then why was Flagstaff not allowed to experiment with the idea of increasing minimum wage locally? Why was Bisbee not allowed to experiment with the idea of limiting plastic bag use in their grocery stores? Why was Tucson, Phoenix, and Tempe not allowed to restrict puppy mill puppies from commercial distribution?
When the founding fathers set up this country, they did something very basic. I mean, it was a group of states that got together and said, we are going to form the United States of America. And the states gave the power to the federal government. When the states were created, when Arizona was created in 1912, they gave the power to the local entities. The power from to the counties comes from the state. The powers from the state go to the cities and the towns, except for those that have that are charter cities. The state ceded power to give to the government, to the federal government, and we control power over that. So the question is when states go or cities go rogue, we're going to get involved.
Too many backroom deals being done, but they have to be transparent, they have to be open meeting laws followed, not just talked about.
I believe that it all comes down to local control. And what is the most fundamental level of local control in our democracy? The voters.
But I think down the ballot you'll see what Arizona voters want. And what do they want? Well, time and time again, they tell you we're a Republican state.
There's no give and take anymore in our state, and I think voters are tired of that. I think they're going to make the right decision. I think they're going to change this from being a red district to a blue district. The incumbents that we have in this district are career politicians. They're locked into an ideology, and they don't change course at all.
And I hope Mr. Chu takes his own advice, because if you want to listen to the public, there's been several ballot propositions over the years dealing with illegal immigration. Should they get in-state tuition, right? Should they get public benefits? And overwhelmingly, many of them by 75% of the voters passed those initiatives through. Porter said to me, I vote against my own party more than any other legislator at the Capitol. So I break ranks almost daily. Thank you.
I do support Prop 205. If it loses at the ballot box, I support the voters of Arizona in that decision. I believe that the war on drugs hasn't stopped it. The cartels are profiting from it. And to the extent that the state can regulate it, it'll be safer because it won't be laced with PCP on the streets. And aren't we all about freedom of choice in this country? Isn't that the mantra that the Republicans tell us all about? Freedom of choice, it's up to the voters.
In a minute. Yeah, well, it's freedom of choice. Well, drugs for everybody then. Why stop at marijuana? Heroin, cocaine, why not? Why not? No, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous notion. It's ridiculous. Marijuana, as we know, is a harmful drug, which is why it is still illegal from the federal government. You can't regulate it like alcohol. You know why? Because alcohol, if you get pulled over, you can have a breathalyzer test, and they can tell you right now how much you got in your system and go to jail. You can't do that marijuana. You know why? Because it can stay in your system for weeks.
By not legalizing it, you're not going to keep it off the streets or in use. Here's the other thing. You need to be up to date on the newest technology, because I just saw the other day they are now coming up with a breathalyzer test for marijuana that will tell you if you've used it in the last day.
Just because there's an R next to the bill doesn't make it a good bill. And a D next to the bill doesn't make it a bad bill. I vote for things because they're, I don't know, good ideas, constitutional, right?
You want the voters to take control over what happens in this state, or a state government that sues the voters? Do you want to have cities and towns threatened with withholding of state revenue if they pass local ordinances? This is the United States of America. Democracy needs to be protected.
We know that there are tremendous costs if we were to be able to purchase global water. And number one, we're not even sure it's for sale. That would be the first determinant. But I've maintained with my colleagues, even if we were successful to float bonds or borrow the money to acquire global water, there's no guarantee that the rates are going to be reduced.
I think a feasibility study is key, and I think we should start working on it, looking into it now, but moving absolutely slowly in the future, and there is no guarantee that the rates will be lowered.
But I don't think now is the time to spend taxpayers' money on a study that we can simply look to what's happened in other cities and kind of get an idea.
I've said it once before, a single candidate on city council can't make that promise. It's incredible that a person would even take that on.
See every year. We talk to developers and potential hotel builders and new businesses, and they're talking about Maricopa. They're talking about how they want to come to Maricopa. Not once did they ever say the cost in building here is too high. One thing that they do mention is the utilities. That's another thing we need to focus on, is getting the utility rates down. Obviously, we have the highest utility rates in the valley that I know
Well,
of.
there's been some talk recently about an RTA, Regional Transportation Authority, and I like the idea of that for the future, you know, but we have some time.
I'm not as all convinced with Senator Smith that the Little River community will allow another lane to go through their tribal land, especially that they're very much upset with ADOT now with that 202 South Mountain situation.
So I think I would be lying to you if I told you that we could do something immediately to alleviate the traffic congestion on 347. That is something that road, 347, is ADOT controlled.
I have had conversations with both the fire chief and the police chief. They are hiring veterans. This is an excellent way for us to keep our vets hired and employed. When you hire a vet, your guaranteed rate of return will be much, much better.
My opponent has less than 7 years as a law enforcement officer as a patrolman. He worked for the county for 2 years. I commend him for that. I've been with the county 30 years. I've worked dispatch, I worked the jail, I was a deputy lieutenant on the SWAT team, I was on the special crime apprehension team, I have a master's degree in public administration, bachelor's degree in criminal justice, I'm a certified public manager, I care about law enforcement, it's my passion, it's where my heart is. And when I see what's going on across the nation right now, it's troubling to me. It's an us against them mentality. We've got to stop that. How do we do that? We do that through community policing. I want qualified applicants to apply for that position. I will encourage those that are working there, and I will encourage those that live in our community and have invested in our community and believe in community policing to apply. We've had 2 assaults in our jail. Both of them sent officers to the hospital. The last one sent an officer to the ICU unit. He was stabbed over 20 times. They are severely understaffed. They are working 12 and 13-hour shifts in that jail right now. And it is ripe for a riot. I've never ran for office before, and I have ran this campaign clean. I will continue to do that. I did not throw my opponent under the bus one time. I won't do that going forward, because it's about what I can do for you moving forward in my experience, not what that person has done. That tells you a little bit about my integrity, and I will carry that forward the next 4 years.